I don't really talk so much about the non-dual nature of reality or what your true nature is in the same way some of the well-known teachers talk, like Tony Parsons or Adyashanti Muji and such people. There's many of them, some famous, some not very well known at all. I talk more about the culture that has self-organized and continues to be self-organized in order to transmit those teachings. And it's important, I feel, because we're all part of it, and it's worth knowing about the culture so that you can navigate it and so that you can understand its role among the dynamics of all kinds of global cultures that exist. So I know you might say, well, there is no world, there is no culture, there's none of this is happening, there's no me, there's no you. And you may wonder why I don't talk about that, or maybe why I don't get that. So really, I don't have anything else to say other than whatever you say in such a way is part of non-duality culture, and that's what interests me. So the question, does anything exist? Well, no, nothing exists. That's why we create. I mean, our creation, our art, our life, I mean, all is, or I mean, it should be, a celebration of our creation, of our art, of our life that doesn't exist. Basically, we're framing emptiness. In all great art, in all forms of art, it's the emptiness that is the teaching. And so what we do really as people who are alive, whether you're a famous artist or whether you're pumping gas for a living, if you understand your true nature, you're framing emptiness every moment. And again, my interest is the culture that has been organized or self-organized to transmit these teachings. So let's distinguish between that. Just because someone talks about the culture doesn't mean they don't have an understanding. It doesn't mean they're dismissing the most ultimate and radical teachings of non-duality, which you can find in people like Tony Parsons or Wei Wu Wei and various scriptures such as the Avadhuta Gita or the Diamond Sutra. This is extreme non-duality. And I've done videos on that. Non-duality culture is a paradigm shift. It appeared to come out of nowhere, really. It didn't come out of a tradition. It didn't come out of an institution. It came out of a bunch of people on the internet. And the potentialities of the culture transcend the traditions and the institutions whose attractions were not only irresistible at the time, but really required. The only way to access non-dual teachings was through traditions and institutions. But the growth of the culture, or the culture itself, is more popular for the people. The traditions and institutions still hold a magnetic pull, and they should. We need to access them. But they're not the whole part of the culture. And in fact, they may hold a secondary importance in a person's life, or maybe really no importance. That's okay. In times of personal, family, or group, or national, or global crisis, we might long for a time when the non-duality teachings were held strictly by traditions, institutions, academia, famous gurus. And while all those are essential and need to be accessed by probably all of us, it's really healthier just to know the teaching for yourself, as yourself, and to communicate it if you wish to communicate it in your own way. Otherwise, we give up our freedom to the institutions and the traditions. Non-duality culture is organized through the understandings, including the understanding that there is no one to understand and nothing to be understood. These understandings are passed along in various forms. But the culture that transmits the teachings has no center. Now, the culture includes the ancient scriptures and Eckhart Tolle's books and the latest tweet from some guy with one follower. It includes conferences, retreats, satsangs, Zoom sessions, meetups, internet groups, private conversations with many people, and with each one various forms arise. Non-duality culture is self-correcting. So whatever anyone says, claims, confesses, or offers in any way is never final and conclusive. It's always affected by other claims, confessions, declarations, and offerings in multiple forms, which in turn are further influenced and affected. And there's no end to that. If an end is perceived and adopted as a worldview, then a dead end has been reached. The dead end within non-duality culture, and they exist. People who feel, well, this is the ultimate teacher, this is the ultimate teaching, and that's it. And as long as self-correction continues, however, non-duality culture will thrive and benefit civilization. As long as the dead ends stay dead. We don't want those. We don't want those spreading, because then you get into formations of cults. Now, the human body, physiologically, it's constantly self-corrects to maintain its health and homeostasis. COVID very strikingly informs us of what happens when the self-correction fails. If we don't die, and our lungs could be damaged for life. COVID's impact is global. It's altering civilization in some ways. And it might appear that if some event results in a failure of non-duality culture to self-correct, it too could die or it can become crippled. However, non-duality culture is decentralized, so it's very difficult, it might even be impossible to overwhelm its self-correcting mechanism. Because what part of non-duality culture can be attacked and ended? So there'll always be some people around who are willing to speak independently about the true nature of being. So hopefully you see that. You see the power and the paradigm shifting nature of decentralization. And the culture has to remain free by never hitting dead ends, by always changing, by one claim always affecting another and affecting another, and never stopping anywhere. Now, even if some global government, authoritative government came around, which it could, and if it made any kind of meetings and talk about non-duality illegal, which it could, communication still exists at some level of knowingness, of just knowing. And you can't make that knowing illegal, although it could be eradicated with humanity. So that is to say that artificial intelligence could, and probably will, surpass the capabilities of humans. And artificial intelligence could dispose of us, could end humanity. But even that raises the question of whether non-duality culture is existence itself.